Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this
Thrilling,
chilling, and highly fulfilling episode.
Oh, you rhyme. He's a poet, and he didn't even know it, folks.
I actually do know it. Of the Burke Brigade, I'm Matthew Burke.
And I'm Jennifer Burke.
Oh my God, you almost forgot, you freak.
Sorry, I'm multitasking. Sorry, guys.
Brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to
The Drudge Report, which 2 days ago was ranked by Rank Politics in the 18 best conservative news sites on the internet, number 1.
No, let's clarify that, sweetie. The Liberty Daily was ranked number 1.
Yes.
The Drudge Report was ranked number 3.
Yes.
They are eating our dust. Well,
oh my God, you're so arrogant.
Hopefully they will soon.
No, I want Drudge to succeed. I'm not saying don't go to Drudge. Continue to go to Drudge. But also supplement that with the Liberty Daily. I don't think you will be sorry. In fact, I pretty much almost guarantee you won't be sorry.
You will thank us later.
Okay. And that was ahead of the Drudge Report, Breitbart, Washington Free Beacon, Daily Caller, Daily Wire, Conservative Review, Conservative Tribune, Fox News, The Blaze, etc., etc. TheLibertyDaily.com, TheLibertyDaily.com. Okay, we're going to start out here with some news that you probably didn't hear tonight. And now, I don't want you to check out if you don't live in the great state, which is mostly conservative, of Alabama. Because there is a Senate race going on that affects you wherever you live if you're a God-fearing, Constitution-loving, red-blooded American. American. And that is the race between the Ten Commandments judge, Roy Moore, formerly on the Alabama Supreme Court, stood up for the Ten Commandments, stood up for religious liberty, stood up for real marriage, and is running against McConnell RINO Stooge, Luther Strange, who sadly is also endorsed by the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Who promised to drain the swamp.
Yet he's endorsing a McConnell Stooge, who is a former lobbyist. I think that would indicate part of the swamp. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, dear.
Especially since Luther the Strange was put into that position to temporarily hold Jeff Sessions' former Senate seat when he was appointed by the corrupt governor of Alabama, and Strange was his attorney general. And he was going to be charged with corruption, but he gave that seat, he appointed Strange to that seat so that Strange could therefore not charge him with crimes. Utterly corrupt. Completely corrupt. And
sounds like a swamp to me, babe.
Sounds like a swamp. Now, why Donald Trump would do that? We support Donald Trump when he's conservative. We trash Donald Trump when he is showing his New York liberal values. In this case, he is in bed with the swamp instead of draining the swamp. He is going to campaign, as is his puppy in stow, apparently, formerly a solid conservative, Mike Pence, who is now endorsing and going to campaign for as well, Luther the Strange.
Oh, Mikey.
How far we've gone. But you know what? Breitbart, who I got, ticked off with during the primary for promoting Trump, who has no real values, over Ted Cruz, who actually has a lifelong history of fighting for the Constitution, a lifelong history of battling the swamp, battling the establishment in both parties to try to return the country into the principles that will really make it great again. I was completely upset with them, but I will give them credit. I am going to praise Breitbart News because they have been hammering Luther the Strange in this race, and justifiably so. So here's a headline, exclusive from Breitbart. This is today. Make Central America Great Again. Luther Strange lobbied for a trade deal that drained thousands of Alabama jobs to Honduras and Mexico. Sounds like that's not the America First agenda. Am I right?
You are right, my love.
Okay, let me just read here from Breitbart again. For over 100 years, Alabamians manufactured clothing in Alexander City for a company called Russell. I know Russell. I used to wear Russell when I was an athletic stud, which I'm still a stud. Just
you are, baby.
In Fruitland.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Oh my God. When I was the MVP of the Fruitland, Idaho baseball team as a sophomore, I proudly wore Russell, so I know it well. Today, I'm reading again, you can still buy Russell athletic gear in Alex City, but it won't be made locally. It will likely be made by workers in Honduras, El Salvador, or China. In a strange twist of fate, one of the key figures who helped bring about this transfer of jobs out of Alabama is now campaigning for the Senate seat formerly occupied by Jeff Sessions. Even stranger still, I wonder if they recognize that play on words.
Fun.
Yep. His campaign ads promise that he will kill unfair trade deals. His name is Luther Strange. Luther Strange was a lobbyist. You don't get to be more of a swamp creature than being a lobbyist.
Right?
Isn't that right?
That is right.
Okay, so that is number one. Number two, this is from Alabama.com, AL.com. Luther Strange finance chair tied to nonprofit in an Alabama bribery case. So nothing wrong with that, I'm sure. But listen, I know you're tempted to check out. How does Alabama affect me? This affects you. These are national races. These are no longer local races. You may think it's a local race. It's not a local race. It affects you. Every Senate vote affects you. Luther Strange is a McConnell Stooge. He will vote however Mitch McConnell tells him to.
Yep.
Roy Moore, Judge Roy Moore, 10 Commandments Judge Roy Moore, has already said he will not support Mitch McConnell. Now, that should be reason enough, almost, to support Judge Roy Moore. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. So here is AL.com, Alabama.com. The head of Senator Luther Strange's campaign fundraising committee is listed on federal tax documents as an officer in the nonprofit agency. Federal prosecutors say it was used to bribe an Alabama lawmaker who pleaded guilty to federal corruption charges this month. But President Trump, Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell endorsed Luther Strange.
Strange love.
Yeah,
strange highs and strange lows.
It's extremely strange.
It's very strange. It's very strange for swamp drainers.
Yeah, for somebody that's going to drain the swamp. Okay, now, you may not know this, and you didn't hear this anywhere else, probably.
But The Burke Brigade.
The Burke Brigade. And Roy Moore debated Luther the Strange tonight in Alabama.
Really?
It was as close as possible to a Lincoln-Douglas debate in that there wasn't any real true moderator asking questions.
That's how debates should go. Because moderators typically tend to inflict and infuse their own politics and bias, which is typically lefty, onto debates.
But apparently they weren't able to do that tonight. Now, I admit it's about over an hour long. I have not watched the whole thing because it came in late tonight. We're getting a late start here. Had to take the daughter who was visiting to the airport and some family, all positive, going on. And so, but I have watched a little bit of it. And I've watched, sometimes as importantly in some cases, if you look at the comments on YouTube on the debates, and now here are 3 comments. Luther Strange, deflect and not deny. Guilty as charged. Moore is your man, Alabama. Do not buy into the Strange BS. Here's another comment. No answer from Luther Strange on the charge of his company financially gaining from illegal immigration. Nice work by Roy Moore here. Here's another one. Drain the swamp and elect Roy Moore for senator in Alabama. Don't be fooled by swamp creature Strange. So I did take the opportunity to listen to the opening statements and the closing statements. And I'm going to play you here most of the closing statements. And it looks to me like all Strange is running on is that Donald Trump is endorsing him. And Mike Pence is along in tow. That is it. Because, as Roy Moore has said, he has endorsed the Trump agenda. In fact, as the Washington Examiner reported tonight, which I think is just so wonderful, the Roy Moore campaign is inviting President Trump to a Saturday night rally, even though he's endorsing Luther the Strange. So I'm reading here. Judge Roy Moore has invited President Trump to his Alabama Senate campaign rally Saturday night, one night after Trump is set to campaign for Senator Luther Strange, I should say, temporary strange. I don't know if he's temporarily strange or not. He's a temporary senator in Huntsville. A top advisor to Moore invited Trump to join him in the rally on Saturday night and met with many who supported his presidential campaign, including former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin and members of the House Freedom Caucus. So Trump's big supporters, Mitch McConnell was not a big Trump supporter, but Sarah Palin was. I think she should have supported Ted Cruz, but that's a different story. But the House Freedom Caucus, Sarah Palin, and even Sebastian Gorka, who I like, and who was in the Trump White House, said he was leaving the Trump White House so he can push the Trump agenda, away from the swamp. They're going to be campaigning for Roy Moore. But yet, Trump is in bed with McConnell Stooge, who's not his friend. So here's a quote. Mr. President, here's the invite. Now that your rally schedule in Alabama has changed and the Huntsville rally has been rescheduled to Friday evening, this is so great, I'm inviting you to join your friends and those who have stood most faithfully and loyally beside you at a rally as far from the Washington, D.C. establishment as you can get. Isn't that great?
It's great.
So they're sticking it to him. It's like you're literally supporting your RINO establishment enemies. Come on home. Come on over here to the conservative side.
Over. Come on.
Because I guarantee it was not the liberal side of Trump that got him elected.
Nope.
It was maybe naively, but people thinking he was going to be more conservative than he is.
People thinking he was going to drain the swamp.
Right. And instead, he is, at least in this instance, no one can argue this, in bed with the swamp.
Yes, I think Trump needs to be reminded that the swamp is not quicksand.
Right, and in essence, they just did that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's just shift gears a little bit. Mel Brooks is one of the greatest comedians in American history. Everybody knows Mel Brooks, who's, I would say, how old?
I don't know, sweetie.
Over 40 maybe? If you don't know Mel Brooks, just trust me on this. He's one of the greatest comedians of all time. You know, his 1974 film, Blazing Saddles, is just one of the greatest classic, like, slapsticky movies out there. It's so funny. But it's incredibly politically correct. And he told...
Politically correct or incorrect?
Incorrect, sorry. Thank you for that correction. He said to the UK Telegraph, "Stupidly politically correct society is the death of comedy." He said, quote, "It's not good for comedy. Comedy has to walk a thin line, take risks," Brooks added. "Comedy is a lecherous little elf whispering in the king's ear, always telling the truth about human behavior." Quote, he's talking about Blazing Saddles, which also starred Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder was who? Played also Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. Love that movie when I was a kid. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Right. And he was a legendary comedian in his own right. Also had in Blazing Saddles Cleavon Little, who is just absolutely hilarious, and he becomes he's black, if you don't know Cleavon Little, and he becomes a sheriff in an all-white town, and it's very politically incorrect. If you haven't watched it, in order to get cultured into American comedian history and to watch a legend at work, watch Blazing Saddles. You can get it. But Mel Brooks said, quote, "Without that, the movie would not have had the significance, the force, the dynamism, and the stakes that were contained in it." And so that's exactly right. We have this politically correct culture where anything that offends a liberal is deemed racist, bigoted, homophobic, etc., etc., etc. Anything to silence anything basically that opposes communism. So kudos to Mel Brooks for that. All right, California, which we call on the Burke Brigade here on a regular basis, Mexifornia, because they have basically welcomed the invasion of a foreign country. They are suing President Trump over the border wall. Does that make sense? You have a state in the United States of America that is suing the federal government because they want to do their job and protect the border and build a border wall. Why would they do that?
Not sure.
You're sure.
Oh, because they want more Democrat voters?
Thank you.
Ding, 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 ding.
You are correct. You have won. Absolutely nothing. But they are now actively trying to stop Trump by using leftist judges from building the border wall. You can get this over at the Right Scoop. They are actually doing it. And as we know, the the Constitution gives the federal government the authority to control borders. States, it's funny. I think we talked about this yesterday. Maybe you mentioned it, or we did off air. But, Arizona was told that, wait a minute, you can't do your own border security, even if the federal government won't do it. So you have to allow the invasion. And now California is basically saying, we want the invasion, and so we're going to try to, by using anti-American leftist commie judges, going to try to stop the federal government from doing their damn job. And it's because, I remember, a month or so ago, whenever it was, the head of the Calexit.
Calexit, yeah.
Yeah, the Calexit movement to have California secede from the Union.
Here's the funny thing.
Slipped up. Do you remember that on Tucker Carlson? He slipped up and said, who'd you have a call from? He slipped up and said, we want the citizens to leave so the immigrants from Mexico can take over. He said that. Remember that?
Right.
On Tucker Carlson. And he specifically said, we want the middle class to leave.
Right.
I think California should just secede and let them wallow in their own progressive hellhole.
The pathetic thing that they don't even realize, America would love it if California wasn't part of the Union. They're a drain.
Right. But build a wall. Make sure to build a wall around it.
Yep.
So they can't leave and go and poison other states.
Yep.
Like they've done in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, what they're trying to do to, Arizona and Texas. Keep your communism to
Don't Californicate my Arizona or Texas.
You guys just go ahead and merge with Mexico and enjoy life. But make sure when you do that, you leave the rest of us the hell alone, and you don't ask for bailouts, okay? But that might not even be the most insane that Mexifornia did today.
Mexifornia. Mexifornia. Which one's better?
Probably just Mexifornia. Mexifornia makes it sound like it's Southern.
No, it ain't Southern.
It ain't Southern.
It ain't Southern.
Hell no. Okay, this is from the Daily Signal. The California legislature has passed a resolution. Get this. California, one-party state. I mean, it's basically gone full-on Soviet Union. They passed a resolution demanding that President Donald Trump apologize for what it calls, I'm reading here, his, quote, racist and bigoted behavior. Little commentary. Trump said all racism is evil. For some reason, that's not clear enough. If you say all racism is evil, how unclear is that? It's not unclear at all. You couldn't make it more clear. That is what he said after Charleston, but yet the left is thoroughly confused. So, reading again, House Resolution 57 also supports Congress' efforts to censor Trump and call for other states to do likewise. It was prompted by Trump's response to the, quote, Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, that turned violent on August 12th. And, of course, they're still butthurt because Trump not only called out the Nazis, the skinheads, the white supremacists as evil, but he also called out the Marxist, anti-American, Antifa goons who are equally, you like equality, right, left? Equally evil. They are violent. They're
vile.
In reality, they might even be more violent than the racists. Because you know what they are? They're communists. They mask and they've got you duped leftist Democrat media complex. as being anti-fascist. So there they may be good. The reason why they're anti-fascist is they want even more control. They want communism. You useful idiots. So Mexifornia is demanding the President of the United States apologize for something that he is not guilty of. Trump's a lot of things. Racist would not be one of them. Discriminating against women. Yes, he may have been a womanizer. He may have, had a love life. Not as bad as Bill Clinton, I might say. He never, to my knowledge, beat the hell out of women like Bill Clinton did. Right. But yet the left totally accepts that. They like it when Bill Clinton beats and rapes women. They love it. They applaud it.
They like it. They love it. They want some more of it, obviously. Because
but Trump is somehow misogynist.
They put Bill Clinton on a pedestal. As
right.
The best living Democrat,
right.
Basically.
So once you rip the mask and understand that all these little communist front groups are communist, anti-American front groups, and you rip away the race card, the class warfare card, you understand that the left has to create these Marxist little victims so they can pander to them and buy their votes with other people's money and rights. Then you pretty much understand where they're coming from. The left hates America. They hate everything it was founded on. They are actually pro-slavery, which is why you can't leave the Democrat Party as being someone of a minority without being called an Uncle Tom. You have to stay in the Democrat plantation. Okay, now this not Obamacare, which is a whole different topic. We're not going to touch on that, but Obamagate, also known as Spygate. Now, I am old enough to remember, and you know what? Everybody in this audience is old enough to remember that Obama's clapper, James Clapper. Now, do you remember? I'm old enough to remember a disease called the clap. But I digress. But what does that make a clapper? James Clapper, he was the former DNI head, Director of National Intelligence, basically Obama's head spy. Here he was, I believe this was in March, with Chuck Fraud on Meet the Press. And he is not only denying that Obama spied on Trump Tower and the Trump campaign, which we now know is an outright and blatant lie, but he's also said, hey, if there was a FISA court warrant, I would have known about it. If they were spying on Trump, I would know about it, and it didn't happen. Okay, let's listen. It's only 1 minute.
President's tweets yesterday, this idea that maybe President Obama ordered an illegal wiretap of his offices. If something like that happened, would this be something you would be aware of?
I would certainly hope so. I can say, obviously I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that was a part of...
So he starts out saying, I would certainly hope so, but watch, he gets a lot more definitive about it.
The national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for...
Or against his campaign. Now, we know for a fact that CNN of all people, reported that the Obama regime, which the spy operation was led by this guy right here, old egghead, James Clapper.
Egghead number 2, honey. You know, the real
what's that commercial? Turn on, the clapper.
Yeah. What clap is it? On.
Oh, that's
clap
it.
Clap off. Clap on, clap off.
The clapper. Okay. So, let's listen to Clapper. So this was, again, in March, all the way back of this year. I don't know any knowledge of it, but I would have known about it, and it didn't happen at all. This was after Trump tweeted that, Obama was a bad guy, which he obviously is, because he spied on the Trump campaign. And Paul Manafort was the Trump campaign chairman. Okay?
Or other Title III authorized entities in the government, or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this.
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order on something like this.
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists.
Okay, here's the kicker.
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order.
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Guess where Paul Manafort lived? Trump Tower. Okay. So that was March. Here is the clapper.
The clap.
Should we just call him the clap for short? You just did. Okay. Now, here is the clap on Don Lemon. Definitely friendly turf there on CNN, the Communist News Network. And Lemon asked him, did you know about a FISA warrant? That's where this special, secretive court that the government set up, this sham court, where you can go if you want to spy on Americans, which very questionable considering we have a Fourth Amendment in this country against this type of thing. Clapper replied, I did not. Well, wait a minute. He just told, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart. Chuck Fraud, that's right. Meet the Press. Chuck Fraud. That he would have known about it. So now he's telling Don Lemon, here, let's play this.
Honey, maybe we should clip this in case MSNBC scrubs it from the internet in order to protect the clap.
The clap, or Google, YouTube. I'm sure they'll demonetize it so you can't make money off it, therefore no one will play it.
Can't expose those lies.
Yeah, but we still have it now.
CNN also has some exclusive reporting involving Paul Manafort, President Trump's former campaign chairman. Specifically, that investigators got a FISA warrant to wiretap Manafort before and after the election. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I can't comment on a specific FISA order.
Wait, you just did on Chuck Fraud. You said you would have known about it. So how could you not know about it? Are you a liar? After all, we do know, I think it was 2014-13, he stood before Congress and lied through his gums about the NSA spying. Remember that?
Yep.
I mean, he should be serving hard time right now for lying to Congress.
Lock him up!
Lock him up. Lock the clap.
No more clap.
No more clap. We demand clap justice.
I said some things about this on Meet the Press on the 5th of March, and I stand...
Oh, so now he's going to say he stands by his lies. Watch this. That's the left. They are bold. Man, they're bold.
And on that statement, I can't...
You stand on the statement that you would have known about it? That they didn't spy on Manafort, and now they're saying they did spy on Manafort, and you're going to stand on your statement? Dude, you're in some deep trouble if there's any justice in this country at all.
I can't confirm or deny.
Sir, let me play it and then get your... So just to remind people of what you said, and this is what you said to Chuck Todd. This was back in March, and as you said, on Meet the Press, and then we'll finish up.
They're going to play it again.
Let me start with the president's tweets yesterday. This idea that maybe President Obama ordered an illegal wiretap of his offices. If something like that happened, would this be something you would be aware of?
I would certainly hope so.
Chuck Todd.
I can say, obviously I can't speak officially anymore.
Chuck Todd, let me remind you that your real name is Chuck Fraud because you're just a Democrat lackey.
I know, right? Good Lord.
You hear him teeing it up?
Oh, yeah.
Teeing it up?
Yep.
But I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity.
That's in March.
Mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign.
Liar!
Okay, so either he's lying...
In the words of Joe Wilson, you lie!
You lie! So either he's lying through his teeth, or the deep state is really 100 times worse than we thought, and these people are running rogue, spying on Americans unconstitutionally. Which is it? Either he is utterly incompetent, had lost complete control of his agency, which means heads need to roll, or he's lying through his teeth, which means heads need to roll. Hashtag drain the swamp.
I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government.
Still
or
from March.
A state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this.
So did they spy on Manafort without a FISA warrant? That's a little bit illegal.
Things that make you go... I think my husband is starting to like my musical commentary.
Keep working on it, huh?
Keep working on it.
If there was a FISA court order on something like this.
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order.
Not to my...
There is no FISA court order.
Is it just me, or does he sound like he has marbles in his mouth?
I know someone else who has marbles in his mouth. Mitch McConnell.
Is that a prerequisite for being part of the swamp?
Yeah, you have to gargle when you talk. You have to be a mush mouth.
My knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Okay, so the president's allies say that the fact that Manafort was wiretapped proves that...
So Don Lemon's a big leftist, but I credit him for playing this interview in Clapper's face. That's pretty good. You got to admit. To make him watch. Now you should see his face. Look at it. He's absolutely squirming like the slimy...
Like the worm that he is.
Slimy worm he is.
The president was right to accuse the former president of wiretapping him, and you were wrong. What's your response?
Well, I stand on that statement that you just...
How do you stand on this statement? You know, these people are amazing. I pushed somebody in front of a car. No, I didn't. Oh, film shows you push somebody in front of a car. I stand by my statement. I mean, they're utterly evil.
Again, hashtag, they think you're stupid.
Gosh.
Just replayed. And I cannot comment on the media reporting.
Why the hell not? Why can't you comment on it? You know, you're out of office. Right. Why can't you comment on it? Why can't you say, you know what, CNN? You're wrong. I know good and well that Manafort wasn't spied on. You notice he's not denying it now?
Yep.
Now he's flipped. Now he's changing his story. Now he's changing his tune. I think it's the clap. I think that's affected his brain.
Maybe the meds.
The clap. I don't know how you cure the clap. I've never had the clap. Don't intend to.
Which is all we have about a FISA warrant allegedly lodged against Mr. Manafort. I can't comment on that.
Wait. How is there a FISA warrant? You said there was none.
Yeah, didn't he just say there was no FISA warrant?
He said that in March, and he said he would have been the first person to know about it. And there's no way that could have, gotten past him.
I will simply reiterate what I said in March, and I stand on that.
Yeah, and that...
Which makes no sense.
As far as Trump Tower being...
I will stand on what I said in March, which completely contradicts the facts as we know them. I stand on my lie. I stand on my lie.
I stand by lies.
The Clap.
There's a reason his nickname is the Clap.
Well, we just gave him that. I don't know if anyone else
It
gave
fits.
him.
It fits.
If the shoe fits.
Being wiretapped, according to the president, you say what?
I stand on what I said.
Can you pause it? Can you hear?
I stand by my lies.
Do you hear Don Lemon's voice? So tell me.
Anyone else, he'd be nailing them to the cross. If
Yes,
it was
this is
a
ridiculous.
Republican.
Don Kremlin.
Don
There's a reason
Kremlin.
your nickname is Don Kremlin.
I think that's an original Jennifer Burke.
Jennifer Burkeism, baby. Woo woo.
Don Kremlin. That's a good one.
Thank you, hon.
I mean, that's so good. I wish I would have thought of it.
We can't all be me.
Hey, you do Don Kremlin. I came up with the Clap. Whatever.
5th of
Burke
March
team.
will meet the
Hashtag Burke Brigade. Fist bump.
press as you just replayed it.
Okay. So did you know, and I had to keep, I just want to, just for clarity, because there's been a lot of reporting on this, right? And people on
Notice how loving he is. I mean, anyone else, he'd be ripping out their jugular.
Oh.
I apologize for asking this again, but, in order to try to be a little bit objective, I got to try to ask these tough questions. Sorry, Clap.
especially those supporters of the president are saying, oh, here's proof. So did you know about a FISA?
What do you mean those people, the president? This is a CNN report. CNN is... What do you mean the people, the president? CNN is the one that broke this story that Obama was spying on Manafort, who was Trump's campaign head.
I'll bet you dollars to donuts. That's a Jim Burkeism. Right?
Yeah.
Matthew's dad. Bet you dollars to donuts. They broke the story online. They had it on their website, but I bet you they didn't really bring that part up on television.
I don't know. I can't say that, but...
Dollars to donuts, baby.
That's a warrant against Paul Manafort at the time.
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
And again, I have to say that what we have is media reporting only. And actually...
So here's Don Lemon now. Is he going to defend his media reporting? Because he would if it was a Republican on there.
Commenting on, FISAs are classified. And so...
Why are they classified? I mean, that's totally wrong. If you're going to spy on an American, they should freaking know about it.
even if I knew something about it, I couldn't, and I don't. And I will just conclude by saying I stand on what I said.
So just double down. Just keep that. That's the way they do it. Just double down. Say it over and over again, because America's useful idiots will eventually believe it. Shame on him. And you know what? Shame on the Trump administration if they don't do something about this bun of a sitch. Right?
Right.
He's absolutely a tyrant. He knows he is the one who led this illegal, unconstitutional spy ring. He was the one in charge of it all. And instead of admitting it, I stand by my lies. I stand by my lies, Don Kremlin. Yeah, whatever. Okay, now we're going to go to, the left's social, communist-tied John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis, one of the civil rights heroes who has strong ties to the Communist Party.
Yes, who is piggybacking on the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King,
right,
who pushed his own communist agenda.
Exactly. Now, Representative John Lewis, he wants to take a bullwhip to people so they can care about civil rights, which is the new buzzword from the left, which means communism. Civil rights used to mean civil rights. How black people primarily could have, and Jennifer's black, okay, the same rights. How all races could have the same rights. Which every red-blooded American supports. But now they have taken civil rights to mean communism. And John Lewis, who was in peaceful protest with the great Martin Luther King, now wants to take a bullwhip to those people who don't agree with him politically. So let's listen to communist John Lewis.
And it doesn't matter whether they're black, or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American.
No, as long as they're communists, I love them. If they're not communists, I hate their guts. I want to bullwhip them to death.
That when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have an obligation to do something, to say something. But you just don't know why. I really want to use some other words sometime.
Oh, like bullwhip?
And, I believe in the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. But sometimes I feel like taking a bullwhip and just saying to people, you get your butt up. You go out there and do what you must do.
Oh, that's almost like slavery, right? When you beat people in order to get them what you want them to do. Isn't that what it's like? Mm-hmm. I believe in this philosophy. You can get this on the Daily Caller. I believe in the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence, but he's got the old but spirit going, but. Anytime there's a but, there's a problem. Sometimes I feel like taking a bullwhip and just saying to people, you get your butt up. You go out there and do what you must do. Now, that's a call to violence. That is a leftist dog whistle to communist Antifa goons to continue to do their violent acts. Is it not?
It is.
I mean, if I tell you to go bullwhip somebody, isn't that inciting violence?
Yep.
I think it is. I think he should be arrested. But that's just me, because inciting violence is not free speech, by the way. Okay. Speaking of communists, Meathead, old Meathead from All in the Family with Archie Bunker, one of the greatest, longest-running sitcoms of all time. Such great TV. If you're younger than I am, if you don't know who Archie Bunker is,
I know Archie Bunker is.
No, I know you. I'm talking about the 20s, 30s people. But Meathead, Rob Reiner, and a lot of these lefties, they started their own committee to investigate Russia. These lefties are so precious. Their politics agreed with the USSR. They were in bed with the Soviet Union.
Yep.
The left has always supported the politics of Russia. But because Hillary lost, they've got this, Trump-Russia collusion nonsense. And they're just beating it with a dead horse. So Meathead, Rob Reiner, was on with Tucker Carlson tonight. And, let's just listen here. Tucker kind of takes him to school. Let's listen.
So we're not advocating going to war or going to a traditional war with Russia, but we are already in a cyber war with them. And,
right.
And if people want to turn their heads away from that, it's at their own peril. The point I'd like to make, and this is really important for people to understand, because this really doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump. Trust me, because Donald Trump, whatever happens to him is going to happen to him. I mean, there are already investigations. Mueller's going to find what he finds. The House and Senate have their own investigations. They'll find whatever they find. But beyond that, we've been invaded in a certain way. And the thing that has been so upsetting to me, and I don't know how old you are, Tucker, but, I can remember when I had to hide under a desk during the Cold War in the 50s because we were worried that we were going to get attacked, by a nuclear bomb. And whenever the country...
That actually wasn't the 50s. That was the 70s under Jimmy Carter.
Right. I was going to say 70s. I remember doing that.
Right.
He's been attacked in one way or another, whether it was Pearl Harbor or 9/11. We've always come together as a country to defend ourselves against foreign enemies, And this is the first time, because I think we're so divided as a country, and we know we are.
Well, but maybe here's part of the reason. No, but here's maybe part of the reason, because it's so... perhaps I agree with you. We are very divided, and maybe this is one of the reasons. A lot of this is deeply
Who's he talking to?
Who's who talking to?
Tucker.
Where have you been?
Just tell me.
Rob Reiner.
That's what I thought.
Meathead.
Meathead. There's a reason Archie called you Meathead.
Jennifer's multitasking. You'll have to forgive her.
Yes, please forgive me, guys.
She's got another project that's really important, so...
Ingenuous. Anyone who looks at cyber warfare will tell you, any honest person will say the Chinese military is the primary culprit in the United States. Hacked into the White House not that long ago, into the computer system there, into almost every federal agency. Nobody said anything. You guys in Hollywood sell your movies in China. You bow to the imperatives of their propaganda and censorship office. You change your movies to suit them.
Oh, I smell hypocrisy here. Oh, so they're okay with communist China, right? I mean, there seems to be a pattern here. So they were okay with Russia. The left was completely okay with Russia when it was completely communist, when it was the Soviet Union. They're okay with China, the Democrat Party is, as long as it stays communist. But now that Russia is not communist, I don't know what the hell there are. I mean, it's still a totalitarian regime. But all of a sudden, Meathead is against Russia. Huh. And Tucker's pulling his communist pants down.
And yet no one says we're at war with China. And I wonder why. So you're sucking up to this regime that has actually broken in and stolen industrial and military secrets that hurt this country. You say nothing until Hillary Clinton loses, and all of a sudden we're at war with Russia. Can you see why some of us are saying, well, wait a second, Rob Reiner, where were you with China? Why are you selling your movies over there? Fair question?
I'm not giving China a free pass here.
Well, of course.
I'm not giving China a free pass, but I just started this new communist front group to take down Trump called a committee to investigate Russia. I didn't start a committee to investigate China. I wonder why.
Sure. You guys in Hollywood sell your movies there, and you allow their censorship office to change your movies in order to make money.
Yeah,
so
well, I don't personally do that because I don't.
Come on, everybody who sells a movie in China does that. You know that. I mean, let's stop. You know what I mean? Kind of BSing a little bit. I mean, that's real, right?
So now Meathead's laughing because he just got kicked in the ass.
Yeah, but here's the difference. The difference.
You got me there,
Tucker, is that the Chinese have done some stuff. We've done stuff.
Oh, we're the same. Communist Chinese. Of course they hacked into the federal government. Of course they hacked into the Pentagon, but they've done some stuff. We've done some stuff. But Tucker, they're communist, Tucker. So don't you know that's okay? Tucker, we're all red here. We got no problem with it, Tuck.
Yeah, obviously that guy doesn't bleed red, white, and blue. He bleeds red.
Pure red.
Crimson.
Done stuff way worse too, and every side
so you
does
can't really judge, but we're going to judge Russia because why? Okay, but I'm just saying, it doesn't.
Yeah, Meathead, you're a commie, okay?
Pinko.
Commie Pinko, as Archie Bunker would say. You commie Pinko there.
Great one, huh?
You're welcome. Okay, you want another one?
Yes.
You Meathead there, you.
And folks, if you could only see the facial expressions, they're also spot on if you ask me.
I grew up watching Archie Bunker there, you dingbat there, you.
And there are times I have to tell him, don't you give me your Archie Bunker face.
So, on the show, was Meathead, he was a little communist revolutionary on All in the Family.
Annoyance.
Wasn't he?
Annoyance.
He was, and the producer of that show, what was his name? Oh, it's on
Norman Lear.
Thank you, Norman Lear. They did that to try to pay Archie Bunker as a racist, bigot, homophobe. I mean, this whole narrative stuff was just getting started, and of course, Meathead Rob Reiner was on there. He was the son-in-law married to Archie and Edith's daughter Gloria. He was the virtuous one. He was the commie. And, a wonderful thing happened. Norman Lear thought that they would that Americans would reject Archie Bunker. Instead, they fell in love with Archie Bunker and they hated Meathead, the commie pinko.
Bubble busted.
And nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Meathead is still a commie.
He's
and
even
he proved
more
it.
overt commie.
Yeah.
Back then, Hollywood was trying to weed out the commies and kick them out to the curb. Now Hollywood's embracing them.
Right. Well, they were still kind of embracing them there, but Reagan was trying to weed out the commies when he was part of Hollywood, and that's what turned him conservative. Ronald Reagan realized that the Democrat Party is full of communists, and the Democrat Party supports communism. Absolutely.
They're brethren.
Yes. Okay, we're going to end with that. You have blessed us for tuning in to the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Thank you for tuning in to the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily. The Liberty Daily was just named the #1 conservative news site.
Thank y'all.
Applause.
Thank y'all.
In America by Rank Politics. You can see it on thelibertydaily.com. We're going to brag about that on thelibertydaily.com for a little bit, but then you'll see it vanish. So if you want to see that, go there, thelibertydaily.com. You guys, we really appreciate you tuning in. If you tuned in for this long, God bless you. We know that there's a lot of competition for your eyes and ears out there, and we really appreciate you listening to us sit around here, yak for, roughly 45 minutes or an hour on some of the hot topics of the day. We are honored, aren't we, dear?
We are honored. And you know what? If you like what you hear, please share it with your family and friends and on your social media.
Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, all I've got to say is this. God bless you. God bless you. God bless America.
God bless America.
And we are considering moving to Texas.
Texas.
So I just have to say this. God bless Texas.
Texas. God bless Texas. And
with his own hand.
Blot down angels
to the promised land.
I'm from Texas, so
I'm not.
I'm supporting.
All right.
All right, guys.
Hey, thank you so much.
Peace out.
Right on. God bless.